Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in St. Louis, just north of downtown in a very desolate area. And there is a historic site that's really well known. And unless you're into mounds, then yeah, you probably never heard of it. But behind me is the Stan Musial Veterans Bridge, and I'll have more history on that in this video. But I will show you Big Mound. Here we go. And like I said, I mean, this is like the part of St. Louis that, you know, never really gets visited. Like, I think that right there, if I'm not mistaken, that's a prison or a detention thing, because I see a small basketball court and the fences are very wired. But right here is a monument, and it actually once stood underneath that bridge. Now, the Stan Musial Veterans Bridge, that was that opened early 2014. So it's been almost 10 years. I'm doing this in October of 2023. But it had to be moved for obvious reasons to here, to this spot, and I'm glad they did. So there's a plaque on there that says, "This boulder stands near the site of the Great Indian Mound, leveled about 1870, which gave to the city of St. Louis the name Mound City. Placed there by the National Society of the Colonial Dames of America in the state of Missouri in 1929. Now, the plaque is obviously newer, but the original plaque was, I believe, stolen, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know that for sure. And it's on a platform, but you can tell already that this site has had many visitors. Many people choose to drink, like, yeah, I see a little bottle there, cigarette packets, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and Dairy Queen boxes, Crush. And I don't know what that is. I guess that's what they use to smoke cigarettes with. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, litter is everywhere. I mean, obviously the city or whoever is in charge of this site does not keep this place clean. But I am glad that this historical marker here has been left somewhat untouched. But I'll go ahead and read what it says here. Now, like I said, what the marker says, St. Louis was one time given the nickname Mound City, and it still does have that nickname for whatever reason, I guess for historians or whatever. But St. Louis at one time did have a lot of mounds on its riverfront, but this tells all about the history of it. Here is a picture of the northeast view of St. Louis from the Illinois shore. That's the Mississippi, of course. And then that is one of the mounds from 1852 to 1854. Yeah, it's a very windy day out, but couldn't help it, I guess. But right here it says, Big Mound was the largest mound in the St. Louis mound group. A ridge mound, which was 319 feet long, 158 feet wide, and 34 feet high. Big Mound contained a burial chamber holding 20 to 30 individuals. Unfortunately, development in the city of St. Louis led to the complete destruction of Big Mound in 1869. By 1904, nearly all the mounds in St. Louis had been destroyed. Today, only Sugarloaf Mound remains. It is now and preserved by the Osage Nation. These mounds were constructed by ancestors of some of today's Indian nations. The site of Big Mound is of great significance because of what it once was. This serves to commemorate the culture that once existed in this area, to honor the people who were once buried at the site, and also to remind us that there are living descendants of that culture and the people who were once here. And this was put up by Great Rivers Greenway. Now, there is a bike trail. I mean, you can't see it because, I mean, you can't even see the river from here. Well, you can see the river underneath the bridge, but the we call Great Rivers Greenway bike trail, which parallels the river, is, you know, way over there underneath that bridge. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get up on this platform real quick and check this out. Now, this plate was placed here as well. I'm glad it has been untouched. I'm getting a little close up of the whole plaque. So the actual name of the site is called Grange de Terre. It's obviously French. Now, I first heard about the site almost 10 years ago when an STL 250 cake was placed here. I mean, they put it here for obvious reasons, for historical purposes, and it got many visitors out here. But of course, this was one of those sites that, you know, they just pretty much had to come and go because they were really afraid of this area. And this is the industrial part. I mean, you can see a little part of the arch there. You can see Lumiere Place. Well, I mean, it's a different name now. It's a different casino name. I can't think of the name offhand. But there's a factory warehouse there, and then there's the old Cotton Belt Freight Depot. And yeah, I mean, from there on, it's basically industrial sites and factories and whatnot along North Broadway. Broadway is actually, yeah, that road up there where I turned off of. This is Mound Avenue, and there is no parking space. I pretty much just had to, you know, make a U-turn. So yeah, I mean, there really isn't much more to show or to say, but it is a great remembrance of why St. Louis was one time called Mound City. And that does not, by the way, include Cahokia Mounds, which is in Illinois right across the river. Did a video on Monk's Mound. But the Sugarloaf Mound that is being mentioned on that marker is not open to the public. It is actually located in South St. Louis. I'd like to go there sometime, but I don't know what my chances of visiting that site are. So yeah, literally that's where the last mound was. And to one's curiosity, including myself, what happened to all the dirt and rocks? Well, they were used to pave the streets of St. Louis, like Laclede's Landing, for instance. So, a little fun fact for you. All right, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason at the Grange de Terre, or Big Mound site. So, hope you come by here sometime if you live in St. Louis or if you're into such history. So, I am Jason, sign off.